So I have not experienced a shoe that can turn footpath or a road into such a soft, enjoyable experience. It just takes out all the impact. So a couple runs done and dusted in this one. Now this is the Brooks Glycerin Max, and these are my first impressions. But before we get into it, and if you guys haven't done so already, and if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now with the specs, so it is a neutral max cushion road running shoe, priced here in Australia at $350. Man, that is a lot of money for a training shoe. $200 in the US. Now in the weight, it's scraping just under the 300 gram mark, or that's what Brooks say on their website. 10.5 ounces in a men's size 9. In the stack, massive stack, so 44 in the rear, 38 in the front. That's going to give us a 6mm drop. And in the upper, so the material that they're using is called a engineered air mesh. Now the material itself is quite thick, and I've got a feeling it's going to get quite hot in these summer months coming up in Australia. But the breathability is okay, but the materials in general, especially through the upper, everything feels really, really premium. Very solid heel counter at the back here. We've got a little Achilles flare, which I like in shoes. Plush amount of padding around the heel collar there, and that plush padding does roll into the tongue here, but the tongue is not gusseted. I don't know why they just didn't put an extra little couple of flaps in there to make that happen. But the tongue, again, is really, really thick all the way down, so it does add some, obviously adds plush, but it certainly feels like this shoe is going to be quite hot. Lacing system, now it is off center, so it's slightly skew off, but it's, with shoes that have been skew off, they usually angle in the other direction. So this is like a reverse skew-if lacing system, and when you look down at your shoe, it feels like the shoe's on the other foot. So you've got it on the wrong side. So that's the feeling that I get. It doesn't seem to bother of how the shoe locks down or how it performs. It just looks really weird. Laces, yeah, really thick, really premium. I haven't had any issues with it. Lockdown, no issues, really good. In the fit, true to size in the length, but volume, lots of volume in the toe box here, or lots of volume in the shoe in general. So just be wary about that if you've got a really skinny foot. I quite like the extra room. Build quality, excellent, excellent. Brooks have always got great build quality, but now the stepping comfort, it's actually out of this world in this shoe. So it's probably, it has to be the most comfortable shoe you could ever put your foot in. Now in our outsole, I absolutely love what they've done here with the rubber coverage. So as you can see there, they haven't just lathered the whole entire bottom of the shoe or the entire forefoot of the shoe. They've really spread it out, and they've been really clever with how they've placed their rubber. Obviously bringing that weight down, but it's taking nothing away from the ride. It lets this midsole splay with just all these little thin slithers of the midsole, but of the outsole, but it is extremely effective. The rubber itself, it's quite thick, so it feels like it's going to be really durable, but the grip is absolutely excellent. What we can also see in the bottom of the shoe, they've also got these sort of big carve-outs through the bottom of the shoe, so a bit of a groove through the heel there, adding some softness to the ride as well. And also there's these pretty aggressive grooves that go up through the forefoot as well. So as I said, it just really lets his midsole splay and breathe. And just in general, it's really clever what they've done with the bottom of the shoe. The outsole is really, really nice. And in the midsole, so it looks like Brooks have actually gone to the future and come back and bought us this brand new technology. So quite surprising, especially coming from Brooks, because they've usually been maybe a little bit behind in the midsole department when it comes to innovation, but I haven't seen anything like this in other brands happen. So we have got nitrogen infused DNA tuned. So obviously nitrogen injected, but they've tuned the foam in different areas of the shoe to give the shoe a different feedback depending on where you land, on how you go through your foot strike. So lots of technical terms with it of how they do it, but in simple terms, and that's the best how I understand it. So they've got bigger bubbles in the rear, and that sort of creates a softer, more plush landing through the rear. And then they've got smaller bubbles infused into the midsole foam into the forefoot, and that gives it a more firmer or responsive and a snappy ride. And within the tuned foam, there is no plate in the shoe, but still a pretty rigid shoe, as you can see there. I'm putting a fair bit of force into that, not much bend in that. Not too much play left and right as well, so pretty stable shoe here. Geometry wise, 4-foot rocker here. It's quite aggressive and it's quite late in the shoe, which is surprising when this is meant to be a bit of a jogging shoe. However, I think they've tuned the geometry just enough as well, so you can certainly feel it at the jogging pace, which was one of my worries when I first seen this late geometry in the shoe. And in the ride, well, this is something that I haven't really experienced before in a shoe. So the feedback of the ride is certainly not like I felt in another shoe. So it's very unique and I think it's quite special. So yes, it is soft, but it is a weird type softness. So it's not a really soft, mushy type softness. Like, it is soft and there's sink, but it sort of feels like it's a spongy, really absorption, maybe a dense type softness to it. Certainly not too squishy or too sluggish or too mushy. And then as you roll through the foot strike, yeah, you can definitely feel that the forefoot is a little bit more firmer and more responsive, but it's not too firm or too responsive. Just how it is tuned, or how the gradual movement from the heel up to the forefoot it is tuned. It's just tuned just right. And then as this rocker is just about in the right spot, so it is as late as it can be, so you can feel, you get onto this rocker and then you just do pop off the forefoot. So it is a very, very, very comfortable ride, and there is the amount of impact that this takes out of a hard surface, so the footpath or the road, I think it's something like I've never felt before. So it does take absolutely all the shock absorption out of the road. So this actually makes road running, footpath running, a pleasurable experience, where usually I'd kind of shy away from it, especially on an easy day, a recovery day. I'd look for some grass or a softer surface, but with this shoe, you're sort of looking for the concrete, you're looking for the hard surface, because it just eats the hard surface up. Stability wise, well, it doesn't feel overly unstable at all. As I said, it's not overly mushy because it's got this really, really wide platform, makes you feel quite safe. It doesn't feel real like a fast shoe or a peppy shoe, even though it's got that a little bit of pop and responsiveness through the rocker. It's certainly just a cruiser. And with the efficiency, it does feel quite efficient over the first part of the run. So maybe the first 40, 45 minutes, it feels still quite poppy, very, very smooth. But I did notice towards the end of the run, as the temperature started to climb here, so getting really hot now where I live in Australia, I did notice the foam softening up quite a bit, so that'll be one for me to watch as I go through further testing of this shoe. And like so far, certainly number one, the ride. So absolutely love this, the feedback of this foam, something unique, something totally different, which is great to see. Also love what they've done with the outsole. I love how it's not overdone, it's just very effective. And what I'm still figuring out in this shoe is just the angle of that lacing system. So it's just very, very off-putting when you go down and lacing your shoes up. As I said, it just doesn't affect the performance or the lace up, it just looks weird. And also, just how is this foam going to hold up, especially in these hotter months here in Australia, and also on those really big long runs. So those runs going up and around 3 hours, let's hope this foam holds up and doesn't get too mushy. And dislikes, you guessed it, $350, yuck. And just wrapping up my first thoughts here. So I'm going to go out on a limb here, early prediction, but I know my thoughts often do change after my first impressions, but I'm still going to say it now. This is the best Brooks shoe that I think has ever been created. It's certainly the best Brooks shoe that I have ever tested, and certainly the best one that I've ever run in. So I have not experienced a shoe that can turn footpath or a road into such a soft, enjoyable experience. It just takes out all the impact. So shoes are pretty good at it, but this one is certainly the best at it so far. So absolutely amazing. Yes, I'd love to see this one under $300. Yeah, it's probably a little bit heavy as well, but it's just the ride. I just can't stress enough. Let's hope this midsole foam as well just really holds up. And who knows, you might be able to get thousands of miles out of this thing, and it might be worth the $350, and then I'll eat my words. But anyway, they are my first impressions. Great shoe, really looking forward to testing this one out and especially looking to see how this foam holds up. But anyway guys, thank you for watching. Any questions you've got regarding this shoe, I know you've already got some suggestions of what to compare it to, and they will be coming up very shortly. But if you've got any other suggestions, any questions, drop it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.